Hey everybody, welcome back to the Franchise, the movie podcast where we talk about movies because they're still making them.
You've got to come back with me.
Where?
Back to the
Franchise.
Allow us to introduce ourselves. I'm choking on my aspirations. It's me, Timothy Glenn. And he's one with the Force, and the Force is with him. He's Tanner Wilcox.
Hey, actually got that one this time.
Yeah, how about that?
Well, look, catching on.
Anyway, guys, welcome back to the Franchise. Where we have episodes every Tuesday. Yeah, so today we are talking about Rogue One, a Star Wars story, the first ever live-action spin-off movie. Release date is 12/16/2016. Directed by Gareth Edwards, written by Chris Weitz and Tony Gilroy. Guys, spoiler alert. If you haven't seen this movie, go watch it, then come back. And this is one that I think you don't want to be spoiled for.
Yeah, you really don't want the ending of this spoiled because it's pretty cut and dry, pretty bleak.
Well, that's kind of a spoiler right there, Tanner. I don't know if you gave him enough of a chance, but yes.
You said spoiler like 6 times, so if you haven't quickly logged off by now, it's your own fault. Plus, this
maybe
movie
they were
10 years old this year.
Maybe they were halfway into a really messy ham sandwich, and they just couldn't put it down in time.
Heavens, my ham.
Okay, Tanner, let's get into it. What's your personal history with this movie?
Well, I mean, it's new enough that there's no, deep nostalgia rooted in it. I remember when it came out, it was riding off the coattail highs of Force Awakens, which I think at this time, everybody was still really pumped on this new wave of Star Wars. At least I was. So I had watched Force Awakens in theaters. This movie got announced. This was coming out. I was stoked about this one. I went and watched this one. Loved it. So yeah, no deep personal history except for my budding fangirl in 2016, but it was a good one for me.
Yeah, I'm pretty much the same way. I remember seeing it. I remember who I saw it with, a friend of mine. I think I saw it, and we'll probably get into this later. I think I did end up seeing it after Carrie Fisher had already passed away. So that was kind of in my mind, Carrie Fisher having passed away less than 2 weeks after this comes out. So my first perception was a little bit couched in that. Aside from that, I remember being very excited for this movie and it delivering pretty much. And how many times have you seen this, Tanner, since the first time?
Only twice. I watched it in theaters and I have not seen it since I rewatched it last night.
Okay. I also watched it last night, although I want to say it was my third time watching it. I did check it out last year, about a year ago exactly, after Andor wrapped up, because Andor being the prequel series to this movie, which is a prequel to A New Hope. So the prequel to the prequel. And I wanted to see how my perception of this movie changed having just watched that show and how it leads into the movie. So yeah, I watched it kind of recently, about a year ago.
Did your perception change after the release of Andor?
It definitely helped me appreciate him as a character more. And the one thing about this movie, I think this movie's great. The one thing about this movie, though, that I think it could do better at, and this isn't really a fair criticism because it is a movie with a certain runtime it has to hit, but I would love to get more of these characters in this movie, more time with them. I do think that it's so great that we did get more of Diego Luna as Andor, because now I have such a greater appreciation for that character and what he's gone through, and a greater appreciation for just what the rebels go through, having to fight this war, especially the ones that are fighting on the ground level.
Yeah, I noticed that too. Especially that third act just really immerses you in kind of the importance of what they're doing at the end. And it's almost like when you're playing a video game and you have wave after wave and you know that you're kind of probably not going to make it through this wave. And you have that kind of impending doom of oh, this isn't going to work out for me. I think the movie does a really good job at making you kind of gradually slip into that by the end of it. So that was cool too.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's dive right into pre-production. Tanner, this movie comes out in 2016, but you might be surprised to know that the idea of it came as far back as 2003.
Really?
Yeah. Before, I guess they were filming Revenge of the Sith at the time, or just about to. So yeah, before that prequel had wrapped up, it actually came about when they were tossing around the prospect of making this the first ever live action TV series in Star Wars, before The Mandalorian ended up being that, was going to be a show called Star Wars Underworld, which would have delved into the goings on between episodes 3 and 4, between the Clone
Oh,
Wars and the Civil
interesting.
War. Yeah. And I read a little bit about like the tone of the show, and they kind of described it as a little bit less, not like the Star Wars like full on space romp action adventure that you're used to, and more of a intense character study on these characters, like say Han Solo would have shown up and stuff like that. And it'd be more of like a little bit more of a soap opera, but also a little more of like a film noir kind of like espionage kind of show, so it would have been much more grounded storytelling in regards to like the underbelly of the Empire and the people who were resisting.
Interesting. I wonder who like pitched that. Like, who was the creative mind behind that? Do you know, or like who pitched like that thematic element of the show?
Behind the show or behind Rogue One?
Behind the show, like when they wanted to do kind of like that noir-y, like crime underbelly style. Is that like a George Lucas thing, or?
I mean, I know Lucas was involved in it in the early stages. Of course, this show never gets made because it's too expensive for them to make, and then by the time Disney shows up, it's old news. But
Yeah.
I think Rick McCallum, producer on a lot of the movies, was also involved in it. I'm reading here that Ronald D. Moore was one of the writers. They like scripted out a lot of episodes actually of this show that never got filmed. It sounds really interesting. I'd love to hear what they had in mind. But in terms of how Rogue One fits into this, okay, so you will never guess who came up with the idea for Rogue One. Rogue One came from the idea from a visual effects supervisor by the name of John Knoll. And John Knoll, he's worked on plenty of stuff, but he worked on the prequels, basically, all 3 of them, in addition to things like Pirates of the Caribbean and some of the 90s Star Trek movies. And when he heard that they were kicking around this idea of a TV show set between 3 and 4, he was like, "Oh, I've got this great idea for this, like the backstory of how we get the rebels get the Death Star plans." And he pitched it as an episode. Now, obviously, the show does not go into effect, so nothing happens with that pitch. But after Disney buys Lucasfilm in 2012, John Knoll goes around again and says like, "Hey guys, like now that you're making Star Wars movies again, or you're doing more Star Wars live action stuff, like I got this really great pitch for you." And he was encouraged by everyone he told it to, like, "Oh yeah, that sounds great. You should keep going up the chain because that sounds amazing." And it eventually got to Kathleen Kennedy, and she loved it so much that they just started rolling with it.
Huh.
Yes, it was really late in the game. And I mean, to think that this was like only the second movie that Disney produces after they buy Lucasfilm after Force Awakens. Like, we don't get Han Solo next. We don't get Boba Fett, which is also what they were planning at the time. We get this, a project that's not based on any one particular known character, but that's how good the idea was that they just kind of ran with it.
Well, and I like that because it is a very good idea, but at the root of it, it's a very like simple idea, and it's a very simple story because you already have kind of half of a story done for you. So for like a spin-off, I don't know, maybe that's just why it works so well, is because it's not really trying to like reinvent the wheel. It's just, hey, here's something that we know a little bit about. What if we just explored, the days leading up into the start of A New Hope, and we'll just see what happens with it. I don't know. And maybe that's why it was so successful or like well received apart from the other like Disney produced stuff. I don't know. I feel like maybe had Disney kept their original formula, because I think it worked well to do like a principal Star Wars film and then a spinoff, and then a principal Star Wars film and then a spinoff. Like, I liked that formula, I guess. And then maybe it's just now like a little oversaturated for me.
And it also set a good tone because you have, okay, so here comes Lord Disney coming in to buy your favorite thing in the world. And, partially, I'm sure some people were worried about that. Like, oh, here comes Disney to ruin Star Wars for us by giving a sequel to Return of the Jedi, the perfect ending, so to speak. But then after that first movie, after Force Awakens, the tentpole adventure franchise entry, you get Rogue One, which is like, yes, we are interested in continuing the story, the Skywalker saga, into the future, but we're not totally forgetting the Galactic Civil War era. We're not going to entirely forget the Clone Wars era. We are dedicated to finding these nice niches in the canon and telling natural stories within them because this is such a good world. So I'm sure a lot of people were like, "Ooh, like this is like New Hope aesthetics, and it's right before it, so scratches that itch."
Yeah, definitely. And I think it works well for him.
Yeah. So yeah, after Noel pitches this and he gets and the movie gets greenlit. He actually I'm not gonna really bring him up again after this because he's not really a writer, but he does get a story credit, so good for you and all. After that, after they're going full steam ahead with this idea, they hire Gareth Edwards to direct this movie. He having come off the success of the American Godzilla reboot, their second American Godzilla reboot, the good one.
The 2014 Godzilla.
Yes, so not the one with Matthew Broderick, but
The Godzilla reboot that was really like a Jurassic World spinoff.
kinda, yeah. And speaking of Jurassic World, that's the one of his next movies is the Scarlett Johansson one, same director.
Oh,
Yeah,
interesting.
he likes his big monsters, in movies, I guess.
Tim, how do you feel? Not that we have to go into this too deep, because we're gonna probably talk about Godzilla at some point down the road. How do we feel about the Matthew Broderick '98 Godzilla? I'm assuming you're not a fan.
Awful, terrible. Yeah.
Oh, okay, all right, we'll stop there.
I never like to confirm what franchises we're going to be talking about in the future just because release dates are tenuous and so is our schedule. But I do expect us to do the Godzilla movies, at least the MonsterVerse Godzilla movies, next year when the new one
Well,
comes
yeah, but
out.
that's why I said I expect we'll go through them at some point because there's more
Yeah.
movies coming out.
I don't know if we'll do the non-canon 98 Godzilla, but I mean,
No.
it's worth talking
I just,
about.
I loved that movie as a kid. Again, I rewatched it recently. Not good at all. And it really is just like a kind of a weird Jurassic Park ripoff.
Tanner, you're talking like someone who doesn't have to get out of the house in an hour and a half.
Okay, well, I thought you were going to use this, but that's okay. Keep going.
I
We'll
will
cut it.
use it. Anyway, so yeah, good director brought on board for this one. Not the writer, I'm not so sure because the writer is Gary Whitta, who his last movie was a little known hit by the name of After Earth. And when I say hit, I mean it was not a hit. It was terrible.
After, like the Will Smith After Earth.
Yes, the Shyamalan, Will Smith, Jaden Smith After Earth.
Dude, I worked at the movie theater when that movie came out, and that was the first movie that I experienced people walking out of.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't blame them.
Yeah, it was not good.
Although I guess technically now that I'm looking at it, Whitta did co-write that with Shyamalan, so maybe he can just blame him for the bad part of the script.
What year did After Earth come out? 2012?
13.
Oh, I lied then. The first movie people walked out of was Les Mis in 2012, but for different reasons.
That I kind of understand, but I wouldn't.
No, people walked out because they were disappointed it was a musical. And I'm like, do you know what you're buying a ticket to? What are we doing here?
Well, I mean, I know they hide that movies are musicals nowadays, but did they hide that in the marketing at all?
No, it was very, very heavy. I think it was heavily implied, like, this cast does all their own live singing in this movie. And just by the title, come on. No one going into that movie thinking, wow, I read 1894's Les Miserables and I can't wait for this adaptation.
Yeah, that's on them.
Everybody knew that was a Broadway movie. So when they walked out, they were like, this movie's all singing. I'm like, yeah, stupid.
You can use an excuse for the 2024 Mean Girls movie, but not for this.
Ooh, yeah. Which, no matter which way you went into the 2024 Mean Girls movie, walk out of it.
Okay. Anyway, the train back on the tracks. So, Whitta finishes the first draft of the screenplay in January 2015, but leaves the project and is replaced by Chris Weitz, who is one half of the Weitz brothers. He is coming off of writing Disney's Cinderella remake.
Oh, love.
Yeah. I think we saw that one together and we were both like surprisingly impressed by it.
Yeah. I think it probably still stands out as like the best live action remake.
Yeah. So good pedigree there as well. A writer they had considered was Simon Kinberg, who I think we talked about. I think his name came up in the Force Awakens episode as one of the guys. He having done all the X-Men movies, most recently Days of Future Past.
Yes.
He might have been good too, but I'm happy with what we got. And the only other note I have on the writing side of this section is that the original script, I think it was actually Gareth Edwards, the director, who he actually assumed that Disney, this being, Disney, the happiest company on earth, supposedly, wouldn't want the movie to end with everybody dying. So the first script ended up with them surviving, but eventually they, got their way and killed everybody.
You really need the impact of it, I think.
Yeah. And thank God, too, because, I guess if Disney ended up sanitizing that, I guess we wouldn't have known what we missed. But I can't imagine that the ending would be better if it was like a happily ever after, at least for those characters.
Yeah, no.
Also, we'd be wondering, like, oh, where's Jyn Erso in New Hope? Like, is she in the, planning Death Star trench run planning stage gathering?
It's a cleaner way to not have to like reinvent stories about where those characters went.
Mm-hmm. And it makes their actions more meaningful in this movie.
For sure. It's the sacrifice is like much bigger.
Yeah. All right, so let's get into casting. I don't have a whole lot in terms of possible casting options, but of course, we'll start with the main lead actor, Felicity Jones, who was just coming off a Oscar nomination for The Theory of Everything as Jyn Erso. She beat out the likes of Tatiana Maslany, who at the time would have been known for Orphan Black, and Rooney Mara, who would have been known for The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo.
Oh, interesting.
I think personally either one of those could have been good. I don't think that they would have been wrong for the part, but I am satisfied with the Felicity Jones we got.
Same. Like, I don't think that I don't hear one of those names and think like, oh, that would have been so much better than Felicity Jones. Because I think she did fine too.
And I've never seen Orphan Black, so I don't know Tatiana Maslany from that. When I think of her, I hate to say it, but I think it's She-Hulk.
Me too.
So I think comedy, or humor. But I don't doubt that she would have been great.
Yeah, I don't think she's a bad actress at all. But
yeah, and Rooney Mara, I'm familiar enough with that I can see her playing this character too pretty well. But I guess she was too busy banking on being in the Black Cat in the Amazing Spider-Man movies for years to come.
Ooh.
Yeah, didn't pay off that way.
She was having lunch meetings with Shailene Woodley to discuss their upcoming roles.
Oh wait, shit! I'm thinking of Felicity Jones again. No, I meant Rooney Mara. Cut that. Anyway. Okay, so let's move on to Cassian Andor. Cassian Andor played by Diego Luna, who at the time, I looked at his filmography. He most recently, his biggest movie at the time was probably Elysium, the Matt Damon sci-fi movie. Although I always think of him as the guy from Y Tu Mama Tambien, personally.
As what?
Y Tu Mama Tambien.
Nope.
You've never seen that?
I don't even know what you're saying still.
It's Spanish. So Y Tu Mama Tambien and Your Mother Also.
No, never seen it.
Yeah, it's from like 2001. It's a classic, though. I mean, if you love your road trips with three characters and they all hook up with each other, I really recommend it.
Oh, okay.
Anyway, but Diego Luna, this obviously becomes his most probably famous role after this. So now he's no longer known as Elysium Guy or Y Tu Mama Tambien, but he beat out the likes of Aaron Paul, who, of course, was known for Breaking Bad and had just kind of broken out on the film scene with Need for Speed, which was pretty much a crash and burn effort. No offense. Did you see that?
No, but I'm not surprised that it had the same outcome as myself actually playing Need for Speed on PlayStation.
Oh, yeah. I played that too
the
for
crash
a
and
bit.
burn.
Yeah, that was not very good.
No.
And also Edgar Ramirez was also considered for this role, who I know by face. If you asked me for his biggest role, I couldn't tell you though. So yeah, Diego Luna I think is perfect for this part. I wouldn't want anybody else besides him.
Yeah, I think he was fine. I don't have any qualms with him, and there's not anybody I can think of that I'd be like, oh no, this would have been a much better fit. So happy with it.
Yeah. And then running down the list of the Rogue One Rebellion people, we have playing Chirrut Imwe, the blind guy, in case you don't know him by name, played by Donnie Yen, who was breaking out from his international scene in, Hong Kong, like doing Ip Man movies to do a lot more American movies. So he joins this movie.
Love.
But there's only, pretty much two well-known Asian martial arts actors. So of course the role was between him and Jet Li. That's all they could think of.
Shocking.
Yeah, but apparently he was too busy doing Expendables movies. Well, actually, no. The reason they don't cast Jet Li is that it's too expensive, and Donnie Yen is cheaper, so they got him.
Question.
Instead. Yeah.
Didn't Donnie Yen also play the blind assassin in John Wick?
Yeah, I was gonna say that. I was gonna save that for later, but yes, he does end up playing two blind badasses.
And he is in fact not blind.
No, he was not blind. He's never been blind. I'd be very impressed if he was doing all that stuff blind, but he's not. He'd be like a real life Daredevil.
Yeah.
But it actually was his idea to make the character blind. So you have to thank for that.
Maybe he goes into every American movie pitch and he's like, get this, what if he's blind? And they're like, oh, we love it.
They're like, this is a movie about painting. You're a painter. You can't
He feels The art.
I call this one oppression. Oh, sorry, no. Oppression's in the bedroom. This is liberation.
This is liberation. I call this one darkness because that's all I see.
So while we're talking about it, though, like, how do you like this character, like in terms of like the approach to make him blind? Since we brought it up,
It's fine. I mean, I don't feel like it's revolutionary to me to have, like kind of like a heightened sense, like badass warrior kind of person. I do get kind of confused because he has like a lot of knowledge of the Force, and his little kind of go-to tagline is like, I am one with the Force and the Force is with me. And he says that over and over before he does something. So it's like, I want to know a little bit more backstory about him. Like, why is he knowledgeable in the Force and like what's going on there?
Yeah. I mean, we haven't really seen somebody who, isn't a Force user per se, but has that kind of tether to the Force before. So it's a new sensation. I know when this movie came out that some people were criticizing it because they didn't believe it. Supposedly he's not like Daredevil in the sense that he can hear things so well that he has like echolocation abilities, but
sure. And I'm not like so stubborn that I have to say like every person who is like a Force user has to be like a Jedi, because I'm sure that there's people in that world, in the Star Wars world, that are like Force sensitive but don't have the training or like the means to like access what they're feeling. Who am I to say like, oh, he maybe if they had like found him earlier, or if he could have been like a Jedi type person. I don't know.
I don't mind it either, but the only time it strained the realm of credulity for me was at the very end when he walks out on that beach to get that switch,
Yep.
And he's saying it. And if he was saying it and like, I don't know, like randomly sidestepping the blaster fire, then I'd be like, okay, the Force is guiding him out of the way. But he's just walking like a straight line very slowly. So at that point, like, that's on the stormtroopers for just missing him. Like,
well, and then it comes down to like, yeah, I guess he was so he was like Force protected, walking out there to flip the switch, but then walking back, he gets blown up.
He achieved his purpose, I guess. The Force no longer needed him.
So that seemed kind of like a bit of a, oh, all right.
I guess he's less Daredevil and more like Eli from the Book of Eli. By the power of God, he can kick ass.
To him, the Force seems like it's almost more like faith-based with that character, I guess. I don't know.
Sorry, spoilers for the only cool part of the Book of Eli, but...
I like that movie too, Tim.
Although, coincidentally, guess who wrote that movie as well?
Lee Brackett.
Shut the fuck up. No, it was Gary Whitta, the writer of the first draft of this movie.
Hey, winner.
Anyway, so just funny that like two of his movies do the same thing, even though it was Donnie Yen's idea. Okay, moving on. So that's all I have for the almost castings, pretty much. I don't really have any other names that were considered for anybody else, but I'll just go run down the rest of the list of the cast. So we got Ben Mendelsohn, who was just coming off The Dark Knight Rises as Orson Krennic, the big bad in this movie.
Can I just say something about Ben?
Yes.
I cannot listen to that man because he talks out of the side of his mouth like this, and he has the most annoying lisp. So he's always like, get this beach under control. And I'm like, you're not, the lisp is not menacing to me. And I can't do it. Or he always sounds like he's got like a mouth half full of taffy or something. Sounds like he's choking on his tongue.
Okay, but as an actor, those are the things that like make you distinct, and memorable. So
but I don't like it.
You don't want to sanitize that kind of stuff. It's like Forrest Whitaker's lazy eye in this movie. It gets him a lot of roles.
Isn't he the alien in Captain Marvel?
Ben Mendelsohn? Yeah, he's this role.
So even when I'm not seeing his face, I know it's him because he's talking like he's chewing on his tongue.
It's not distracting to me, but I do know what you're saying. I do hear it.
Every time he comes up on a movie, I'm like, ugh. Which, sorry, Ben, no shade to you. That comes from someone who's hated their voice their whole life. But I can't with you.
Tanner, I've only heard that people love the way you sound on this podcast.
Well, thank you for not lying or for being nice to my face, everybody.
Anyway, speaking of Forrest Whitaker's lazy eye, it also appears in this movie along with the other one.
That's another casting choice. I'm like, did they just get names to draw people in? Because his character is such a throwaway.
Yeah, and I kind of felt that too, like the first time I watched it. Like, I like the character a lot, and I think his scenes are well written, and he plays it well. But Yeah, at the same time, by the time he sacrifices himself, well, not even sacrifices himself, he just stays and then dies.
Yeah, he's just like, I'm tired of running.
Yeah, it's a little underwhelming for me. But otherwise, I have no problems with, and Forrest Whitaker actually, despite being like an A-list actor who could do whatever he wants, like he has committed to this part. Like he even voices this character in Star Wars Rebels, like right after this on Disney XD. Like he's above that. He doesn't have to do that, but he does. And he's also comes back on Andor as well, playing this character.
Okay.
I'm pro Saw Gerrera.
Yeah, sure.
Saw Gerrera actually also a character that appeared in the Clone Wars TV series first, I believe, back when he was young Saw. Okay, and also in this movie, not playing a bad guy in this for the first time ever in his career is Mads Mikkelsen as Galen Erso.
Yeah, shocking to see him as a loving father.
Yeah, definitely against type. He having, at this time was known for Casino Royale, which I don't think I really knew him back then, and he's also known for like playing Hannibal Lecter on TV. So yeah, he was already pretty much typecast as a villain actor and would only continue to be out in the years after this. But I think he's still good. Like I think he can pull it off, even if he has like the creepiest voice ever as well.
Yeah, he was fine.
And then well, actually not starting it because Alan Tudyk is in every Disney voice project ever before and after this as K2SO here.
Also, I just have to say that I love his robot in this.
Oh my God, he's so funny. I love him too. Like the part where he like, did you know that wasn't me?
Yeah.
It cracks me up every time.
You know that wasn't me. Of course.
It makes me like be okay with the plot contrivance of like, oh yeah, he's sassy because we had to reprogram him. I'm fine with that because it's so good. Yeah, so freaking Alan Tudyk, so talented. I hate him.
Yeah, I think he's really underrated.
He played a freaking chicken in a whole movie.
I just want you guys to know that if you don't know who we're talking about, if you need a visual, he's the pirate character in Dodgeball.
Who?
Alan Tudyk.
No, I know Alan Tudyk, but who
He's Pirate Steve in Dodgeball and the Average Joe's team. The guy who thinks he's a pirate.
There's a guy who thinks he's a pirate?
Yes, and then at the very end when they're in Vegas at the opens, he like gets a wake-up call and shaves his head and comes back.
Tanner.
And they're like, who is this guy?
Tanner, I'm doing a joke at the end of the movie. Remember when they're like, who's Steve the pirate? We have a guy that teamed in who thinks he's a pirate? That's a line from the movie. You didn't get it.
No, I was just really, really focused on making sure the listeners knew who we were talking about. Tim.
Okay, well, I was one step ahead of you. I've seen that movie too many times.
You're being wittier than me. Thank you.
Fun fact about Dodgeball. You know whose favorite movie that is of all time? Dame Helen Mirren.
Is that a real fact?
Yeah, she loves Dodgeball.
I'm so happy because, you would think like Dame Helen Mirren, sophisticated. She played the queen, but she also was the one who campaigned to be in the Fast and the Furious franchise because she was just like, I just want to fuck shit up and drive really fast. And they're like, all right, Helen Mirren.
Yeah, surprisingly pretty cool.
Yep.
Moving on, we also have Riz Ahmed coming in this movie as Bodhi Rook, the defecting Empire pilot. He having just had his big break with Nightcrawler a couple of years before this.
The Jake Gyllenhaal Nightcrawler?
Yeah, you play like the assistant character. No, not the X-Men Nightcrawler.
No, that's Alan Cumming.
There's so many Allens. Alan. And then we also have Zhang Wen as Baze Malbus, who's the buddy of Chirrut Imwe, another prominent international star. And showing up in supporting roles, we've got Jimmy Smits coming back to be Bail Organa. Love that guy. Genevieve O'Reilly reprises her role as Mon Mothma from Revenge of the Sith for a hot sec, and would also go on to play this character in Andor and stuff. Anthony Daniels again coming back as C-3PO, just because he has to be in every live-action movie there ever was.
For his one line.
Yep. Although, I mean, it does make sense that he be around because, the rebels are about to go above Scarif and, and Leia's there, so why not? R2-D2 this time is played by Jimmy V, so no Kenny Baker this time. We also have James Earl Jones coming back to voice Darth Vader, who definitely sounds a little bit older, like you can hear his age, but I'm so glad it's him.
Yeah, me too.
And then, of course, your obligatory Warwick Davis cameo as a character named Wheat Teeth QB, just like one of the backgrounds of Saw Gerrera's posse.
Oh.
Dave Filoni voicing a droid, as he did in the Rebels show, I believe. Rian Johnson, the director of everyone's favorite Star Wars movie, The Last Jedi, showing up as a Death Star technician. Tanner shaking his head.
Ew.
And then, lastly, we have probably the most notable actors in this movie, and I say actors in quotes because they're not really in it, is Peter Cushing as Grand Moff Tarkin, kind of.
Although interesting, they call him Governor Tarkin the whole time.
Yeah, you know, I was reading that in the trivia for this movie that they don't actually call him. Let's see, where is that?
Yeah,
I
there's
want
no
to find
Grand
that
Moff.
tidbit. There's no Grandma Tarkin either. That's a bad joke. I'm sorry. So in A New Hope, he's only called Governor Tarkin as well.
Oh.
It says that the title Moff has never been spoken in a Star Wars live action except for a deleted scene in Solo, which is surprising. I thought that was always like an established thing, but that's only like
I thought that Leia calls him Grand Moff Tarkin in New Hope.
Governor.
Huh.
But Peter Cushing, not really in this movie, of course, having passed away in the 90s. They had a actor named Guy Henry come on stage or on set to do the voice and the motion capture that they would eventually superimpose or, you know, Peter Cushing's face onto to get the likeness.
Which I do think they did a very good job with that.
Okay, good. I wanted to gauge your opinion because it's probably the most controversial thing about these movies.
Oh, see, so like, and especially when it came out, I feel like everybody else kind of liked it. At least everyone I talked to, they were like, no, it looks good. It's fine. It's cool to have him in it. I think 10 years later, it holds up pretty well. I mean, like, you can tell that it's CGI, but I will say that his holds up to me much better than Carrie Fisher's.
Yeah, Carrie Fisher's looks a little bit too smooth.
Yeah, that one was kind of, because I didn't really remember. I mean, I knew that she showed up at the very end, but I didn't remember like seeing it. So when I watched it last night and she turns around, I was kind of like, oh. That one was a little more jarring because it looked a lot more fake.
So yeah, Princess Leia, played by an actress named Ingvild Dahlia. I'm butchering that. I'm sorry. Although she did not do the voice, she did just the physical acting. They used an archive audio of Carrie Fisher saying "hope" in that moment. But yeah, so. I mean, this is like the first time I remember them being Hollywood doing this kind of thing, you know, like recreating people. And that would also be done to, like, you know, extended to de-aging people in the future as well. Like, I don't remember them doing that before this, but it's definitely become a lot more prevalent.
And maybe that's why people, like, I guess, got, at least the people I talked to had a positive reaction because it was kind of like a cool new thing.
Mm-hmm.
Now I think it gets kind of old when it's like, ugh, everyone's de-aged, and half the time it doesn't look good. You know, when they did it in the last, like, Indiana Jones, I didn't think it was great. When they did it in, like, The Irishman, oh, I hated that.
Oh, The Irishman is awful because, well, I mean, and to be fair, you're trying to, like, take 60 years off Robert De Niro, which cannot be easy. That's too tall of a task. In the movie, they're like, what are you up to, young man? And it's like, obviously, like, at least 60-year-old De Niro. It's just, yeah, no. And then in the new Alien movie, like, that's a great movie, but that's kind of a spoiler to talk about since they didn't really advertise that, but didn't work either.
Yeah, no.
But, okay, but talking about Leia, though, in particular, obviously we get more Tarkin in this movie than Leia, but one of the sticking points people had with this movie was, you know, you have this, like, really great ending. You get a really cool coda fight with Darth Vader, and then you get one kind of jarring shot of Leia and the movie's over. So, like, does that dampen the ending of the movie for you at all, just to have the last thing you see?
No. Weirdly enough, I didn't like it as much like on the rewatch, but in the theater, I loved it. Like, that Vader fight was phenomenal. I think everybody was just like, oh, when that happened, because you still don't know fully, like, that's where it's going to go. Like, I didn't ever expect Vader to, like, show up in there. I didn't expect it to end with, like, those being the same rebels that, like, hand Leia the plan, you know? So I like that ending. I mean, it's kind of abrupt, it feels like, on the rewatch, but I'm happy with it. When it came out, I loved it.
I think the first time that I watched this movie in theaters, that story of Leia being digitally recreated was out in the news. So, like, I was waiting for it. Like, I knew that was going to be the end of the movie, was seeing CGI Leia. So rather than experiencing the movie as it is and just, like, you know, taking the punches as they're thrown, like, I was kind of just, like, waiting for it. So it was a little distracting for me the first time watching it. Now that I know it's there and know what it looks like already, it's not so bad. And I do like that it ties back into A New Hope so directly, you know?
Well, yeah, and maybe that's the downfall, because I went into this movie kind of not knowing anything about it and not really researching it, and then I was really pleasantly surprised with it.
Well, there you go. And, most of the audience is probably like you too. Like I like to think that like everyone reads as much movie news as I do, but they don't.
Nobody does.
Yeah, no. I am an aberration.
And look what happened, Tim. Curiosity killed your cat.
Okay, anyway, so that's the cast of this movie. Although I did have one last actor who was considered. I don't know what part it was for, but I figured it was worth mentioning. And this is an actor who kind of has gone away a little bit, but was definitely a notable name at the time, is Sam Claflin of the Hunger Games fame.
What about Sam?
He was almost cast in this movie, or he was considered.
As who?
I don't know. Tanner, did you not listen to me at all of this preamble?
No, I spaced out.
You're like, okay, this is the part where Tim moves on and does his own thing. I don't need to.
Yeah, I'm like, oh, here we go. We're going to finish casting and we're going to roll into numbers. So everybody take a nap.
Hey, shut the fuck up. First of all, we got filming and a review and post-production to talk about before we get into box office. So,
well, you're pushing an hour, pal, so get on with it.
Okay, fine. But also, I did just notice we missed 420 on 420, Tanner. We recorded through it. We didn't even say anything.
Oh, I don't approve of the devil's lettuce, so I don't acknowledge 420.
This is in Tanner is a square. All right, moving on.
A square. It's a dangerous reefer devil that's grabbed a hold of your children.
Tanner saw Reefer Madness and thought it was completely accurate.
Obviously, please. The world's in chaos, and it's all because of that doobie. Those marijuana cigarettes. They're destroying the lives of Americans everywhere.
Okay, moving on. All right, filming. This movie, principal photography, runs from August of 2015 to February of the next year. Most of it is shot at Pinewood Studios, again, the same as The Force Awakens, in Buckinghamshire, England. Buckinghamshire. And they also shot at Reynisfjara, Iceland. Reynisfjara.
Oh no, it's like the glacier in Norway all over again.
Yep. This was of course, the opening scene. So the Urso homestead, the planet Lamu, was shot in Iceland. And they also shot on location in the Maldives for the Scarif sequences, so the island stuff.
They're like, don't worry, guys. We won't ship you to Tunisia. You get a tropical beach instead.
Speaking of tropical getaways, I saw in the IMDb trivia of this movie that Felicity Jones, Diego Luna, and Alan Tudyk, while they were filming in the Maldives, they all shared not a lifeboat, just a boat. They all lived on a boat together during the shooting.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and then fun to be part of that.
It's your Spanish classic all over again.
Spanish classic?
Diego Luna, 3 people road tripping on a boat, doing each other.
Oh yeah, Tenet, what's that called again?
I'm not going to pretend to say it. I don't culturally appropriate like that.
What is the name of the movie? It's Y Tu Mama También.
Who am I? Cameron Diaz saying Filipinos?
Okay, you're going to have to explain that one to me too.
You need to just look that up. There's an interview that Cameron Diaz did where she talks about Filipinos and growing up with Filipinos. But every time she says Filipinos, she goes, I grew up with a lot of Filipinos, and I ate lumpia every day. And then she goes right back into her regular, and it's not aged well.
Oh, okay. Well, I have no context for Philippine dialect, but
anyway, watch that interview.
Okay. And then, Tanner, mystery solved. We talked about last episode how you had asked me what Ray's planet was in one of the earlier episodes of the podcast. I meant to say Jakku. I said Jeddah. Wasn't sure where Jeddah came from. It came from this movie, Jeddah. So
yeah, watching it last night, the second that it said Jeddah on my screen, I said, oh, that's where Tim fucked up.
Yeah. And I was wondering that. I'm like, I didn't just pull that out of my ass, did I? What is Jeddah? And then, thank God, I finally found out. So yes, mystery solved. I mixed up my 5-letter J planets. But yes, Jeddah was filmed at the Wadi Rum Valley in Jordan and the Masada complex in Israel. And if you don't know those things, that was actually an interesting read. I don't want to really get into those locations very much, but really real world history. Very interesting. Cool places to visit. Yeah. Although I think Jeddah, like the market scenes where they meet everybody and, get captured by Saw Gerrera's folks was studio stuff. And then for Yavin 4, they shoot at Cardington Airfield in Bedfordshire, England. And for the Imperial base chase, they also go to London Underground.
Oh,
the subway.
Interesting.
Shut it down. Yeah, which I forgot to look for that actually before the movie started, but it seems like a very, odd place to shoot a whole set piece, but especially in Star Wars, but sure.
Yeah.
But Tanner, this movie, of course, goes through a lot of reshoots. Did you hear about the reshoots when they were going on?
I don't remember.
It's like one of the more notable like big blockbuster reshoots because they actually do reshoots from June of 2016 to August, and they hire Tony Gilroy, as I kind of alluded to at the beginning, who Tony Gilroy, having developed a lot of the Bourne movies, I think he did the Bourne Legacy, directed, to write new scenes, and he was also a second unit director under Gareth Edwards as well. But the reshoots were pretty extensive. They kind of retooled a lot of the ending, and they added like the Darth Vader hallway scene.
Oh, thank God.
Yeah. Let me just look up really quick what they reshot. Rogue One reshot scenes. Make sure I get this all right. So yeah, they did the hallway scene for that reshoot. So they did Jyn Erso's rescue from Wobani when like, the rebels show up and break her out of that like paddy wagon and she gets slammed to the ground by K2SO.
Mm-hmm.
They also shot the scene with Cassian Andor, the first scene we see him in, where he meets his like informant guy and then shoots him in the back, very surprisingly. And they also reshot the final sequence, the whole scare of final battle. So they reshot a lot of the third act of this movie as well.
Oh,
Yeah.
that seems expensive.
Yeah. And so there was a lot of worries about like how this movie was going to do, So yeah, and there was a lot of like talk of whether or not Tony Gilroy just came in and saved this movie like himself single-handedly. Like there was a lot of speculation of whether or not he actually like just directed all the reshoots himself and not Edwards. That's not corroborated or anything like that. It's just kind of like a fan theory.
Oh.
And, Gilroy, of course, takes over later on. He develops the Andor TV series after this. So even more so, Rogue One kind of becomes his baby in that way, too.
Which, I mean, it looks like he handled it well because I think Andor's pretty, like, well-received as well.
Yeah. It's definitely been called like one of the best Star Wars things ever filmed. So,
Yeah.
Anyway, so there's a lot of, like, interesting material in there in terms of, like, the history of this movie's reshoots. But, I mean, like, when you think about reshoots, like, when you hear that word, people usually wince, They're like, oh, they didn't get it right the first time. They got to go back and it's going to be janky. And, I mean, a lot of movies do reshoots, but I guess the extensive nature of these reshoots, people were especially worried about this movie going into it. But, I mean, I guess it just goes to show, like, you never really know until the movie comes out.
Yeah. And I don't think if you have to do, like, months and months of reshoots and you're reshooting, like, I don't know, half your movie, or if you, like, have script rewrites and then like, that's a bigger worry to me, but I don't necessarily think it's a bad thing.
Yeah. All right, let's get into post-production now, though. So, of course, ILM, Industrial Light and Magic, comes back to the visual effects. This is the first Star Wars live-action movie not to be scored by John Williams. So, the subterranean creatures that threatened to rise up were tempted, but did not, thankfully, in his absence.
Good. We were all spared.
The original person hired for the score was Alexander Desplat, who had just won an Oscar for Grand Budapest Hotel, also a great composer. But he had to drop out because the reshoots last minute, like, retooled a lot of the tone and a lot of it was going to go, meant he couldn't stick around and finish it. And guess, what movie he had to stay true to for his schedule-wise? Was Valerian and the City of a Thousand Planets. He stuck to that one.
Boo.
Yeah, he definitely did not choose the right movie. That movie, I don't hate that movie. It should be better. And it's just kind of bland.
Yeah, it was super forgettable.
Bad lead actors, not great characters. But we do get another really, really good composer to do this is Michael Giacchino, who we mentioned last week having cameoed in The Force Awakens. He comes in to replace him. And Michael Giacchino, of course, has a big year with Disney, actually. He had just finished Doctor Strange, the first one, when he got the call for this one. So he just hops over and does this. A really last minute kind of scoring job. But I think he does a great job. I love the score of this movie.
Yeah.
He also did Zootopia that year. So yeah, big year for Disney. Okay, let's get into the review section of this movie, Tanner. We talked a little bit about how our feelings about this movie. I mean, this is a pretty solid movie overall, I feel like.
Yeah, I agree. You know what my biggest letdown is, if we're going to get into reviews?
Sure.
Is that this was kind of like the tease of like, what is Disney going to do with this franchise, and what are they going to give us with Star Wars properties?
Mm-hmm.
And I think everybody was on board. Like, Force Awakens was good enough and had enough nostalgia that people were like, yep, great, we like it. This came out, was a big hit, I think, with fans, and like critically, I think it's pretty well received.
Yeah.
So I think they had a really good like backing at it was kind of like, okay, like Disney's maybe not gonna fuck this up. Like we're doing good. But it just really feels like a false promise to me.
Mm-hmm.
Because I feel like literally everything after this is just downhill.
Everything after this is at best messy.
Yeah, and like I said a little bit earlier, like the things that work about this, like it's kind of like a relative story, but it's, just like a new little simple one-off throwaway, but a good one.
Mm-hmm.
I think we get those like oversaturated with, especially with like the Disney Plus era. And it's just like too much of not giving people what they want. And then when you do get the little bit of fan service, like I love the Vader scene in the end of this because it really is kind of like, this is the first Star Wars movie where you're like, oh, there's no Jedi. Like, do I want to watch this? It's not going to be as cool or as fun. And so you get a little bit of, they throw you a bone a little bit with the Vader thing, and it's a cool scene.
Mm-hmm.
But then every time they try to give you fan service after that, I think it just doesn't work because it's never really what you want.
You mean fan service after this movie?
Yeah, like with other Disney shows,
Mm-hmm.
And that's, of course, my own personal opinion, and it's a bit broader than just the review of this movie. As far as this movie particularly goes, I enjoy it. I like it. The only things I kind of have problems with, I guess, were what we already talked about. Like Donnie Yen's character, the way that he goes out, it's kind of like, okay.
Mm-hmm.
I think that Forrest Whitaker is kind of a throwaway character,
Mm-hmm.
but those aren't like things that are detrimental to the film. I really, really enjoy this movie.
Going back to where you're talking about the fan service, I mean, and we'll talk about fan service with the later movies as well. We still got a few more to go. But as far as the fan service in this movie is concerned, particularly the Vader hallway fight scene, I mean, I think, and that, again, like something that wasn't part of the original production filming, last minute reshoot, really worked though, because when you think about it, like Vader, we only really get 3 movies of him in the late 70s and early 80s when a lot of the filmmaking wasn't quite up to where it is now 30 years later. And so now we finally have a movie where you have Vader in the full suit, not just at the very end crying like a bitch and Revenge of the Sith.
Mhm.
But you get him in a full scenes again. And so seeing him like go full beast mode like that is really rewarding.
Yeah, and it just makes him such a like scarier villain, I think. It's cool to see. It's a cool scene.
And the way that movie is like that scene is like shot and scored, it's almost like a horror scene. It's terrifying.
It's very like scary.
Although, I guess like technically, like if you're watching these movies chronologically and you watch New Hope after this, he does go from like to his battle with Obi-Wan being like dead.
Yeah.
It is a little bit, like if you're trying to look at this character from, outside of the movies canonically, it is a little bit incongruous, but that's nobody's fault really. And I love, I didn't know this is the first movie that they had the like, the title cards for like the planets, like where we're visiting in any other Star Wars movies, but they didn't do that for Darth Vader's like compound, which was on Mustafar. I had to look it up.
No, mine said, oh no, I'm sorry. They didn't do it there, but if you hit, I paused it right there, and the name of that scene on the Blu-ray is Mustafar.
Okay. So yeah,
So I was like, oh, cool.
Yeah. I like that. I like how they, it does kind of paint Vader as kind of like hung up on his past a little bit that he posted up there.
Yeah, I'm like, bro, you don't want to live in like a different planet, maybe?
But I do like how they're acknowledging the prequels, this early on when they didn't really have to. I feel like prequel nostalgia didn't really hit just yet at this point.
Yeah.
Okay, let's talk a little about the characters in this movie. I mean, I think the whole cast, the cast of actors is great, and that the characters they portray are great. I like how they don't try to make them like super memorable. Like, they're just people for the most part. Aside from blind Daredevil, they're not flashy characters, but they're just real gritty people doing what needs to be done for the greater good. And I really enjoy that tonal shift in Star Wars.
Yeah, it's definitely like a very everyday hero kind of vibe.
Mm-hmm. And it doesn't paint them as being all good either. Like Star Wars, we're really familiar with like the dichotomy between good and evil, the light side and the dark side. But when it comes down to these everyday folks who are just caught up in these crazy machinations of the war. Like, they have to do terrible things sometimes for the betterment of everybody.
Yeah, they're just trying to survive.
Yeah. So I like those shades of gray. And you also get, like, I mean, Krennic as the villain too, who I not to get into Ben Mendelsohn's like accent again, but like I do really like him in the sense that like he's a bad guy, but he's not like full blown evil. He's just like a bureaucratic bad guy, you know?
Yeah, he's just trying to keep his job mainly.
Yeah, he's trying to climb the ladder. And I mean, he shows no remorse, of course. So that makes him really, really bad. But, you know, he's not driven by things like power. If anything, he's driven by fear, you know?
Yeah.
Which is the flaw in the Empire's design and practices. Yeah, so I think that the writing for these characters is really good, and especially with also with, you know, Jin, who kind of starts out as this, I don't give a fuck, I'm just trying to you know, survive my own too, to being like the, you know, figurehead of the rebellion.
Yeah, everybody has a real Aladdin complex in this, Tim.
An Aladdin complex.
They're all just, you know, street rats stealing their bread.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Becoming heroes.
Gotcha. And the action too in this movie is great. Like by the time like the dog fight happens out in space when the rebels arrive on Scarif, like the rest of the fleet, and it feels so like New Hope-y in tone and aesthetics, but of course the special effects are way better too. That was also a big like fan service, like nerdgasm moment for me.
Yeah, it was great. The whole third act of this movie is like awesome.
And speaking of that fight in particular, quick little tidbit I found was that they ended up finding unused shots of a lot of the pilots from A New Hope, and they just put them in the movie.
Oh.
Yeah, because when I was watching that, I actually kind of noticed that, like, that the film quality kind of shifted a little bit from, you know, clear and crisp to kind of almost like sepia, like old-fashioned film stock.
Yes, I noticed that too.
Like when they're like, you know, red leader standing by, blue leader standing by, you know. But okay, I want to talk a little bit about like the one part of the movie that doesn't work for me. And that, I mean, besides of Saw Gerrera's death and stuff like that, but the one sequence that I don't really care for is the sequence that takes place on, oh God, what planet is it? I think it's Edu, where Cassian goes to like, you know, low key like assassinate Galen Erso in the rocky like rain planet, you know? I don't know why, but like every time I watch this movie, I kind of check out during that whole planet excursion.
Yeah, I mean, I think it kind of drags in the middle a little bit. It picks up because they like test out the Death Star, and then like there's that scene where like the Forrest Whitaker death scene that kind of like picks up the pace of the movie for me. But yeah, there's like 25 minutes before that and after it where I'm like, ugh.
And maybe it's just because, like, you know, nothing really changes when they go to Edu, aside from that Galen Erso does die from, you know, the rebellion bombings. But I mean, and I understand like that whole sequence like deepens, you know, the rebellion's role in the war, and how like, you know, there are still, you know, casualties of war all over, and you can't really avoid it. And it also creates friction between Jin and Cassian, you know, that he hides the fact that he's going to kill her father, or at least he has been ordered to. So I get on paper why that scene is that sequence is important. I just, for whatever reason, I kind of just check out during it.
Yeah.
And maybe it's because like the action wise, like the stuff on Jeddah when they're getting captured by the Saw Gerrera's people in the city and they're doing stuff there, and then also the stuff on Scarif later on at the end of the movie are so much better than the middle part. And
maybe it's because I felt like I was kind of just like waiting for like the cool stuff that I knew was coming, so I'd agree with that.
And maybe I don't want to put this on like the lighting, but maybe also like the fact that I can't hardly see anything on that planet is a detriment.
It's like the long night all over again.
Oh my God, yeah. Not that they did a bad job filming it. I don't want to say that, but just it doesn't grab me, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, I'd agree.
So that's the only thing that's keeping this from being, for me, like glowing about this movie, is that like for about 20 minutes or so, I just kind of lose interest. All right, well, let's move on to release. So this movie actually, in a little bit of an interesting dig that I found, this movie had to delay the promotion of the movie entirely because the title of the movie was deemed too similar to another big action blockbuster that came out the year before. If I give you the word Rogue, can you guess what movie that is I'm talking about?
Mission Impossible.
Yes, Rogue Nation, Mission Impossible Rogue Nation came out in
Oh my
2015.
gosh, look at me.
You finally got one.
Okay.
But yes, like the titles were deemed too similar to it'd be confusing. So Disney actually had to reach an agreement with Paramount to not promote the movie at all until the Mission Impossible release window had ended. So like I think that comes out in like July 2015, so a few months after that or so.
Oh.
And it was just surprising to me because I don't feel like the word rogue alone when both titles is joined by other words is that confusing.
Yeah, and I don't know. To me, I feel like Hollywood sometimes has to like dumb down what they're telling people because that was not confusing to me. So I don't know why it would be lost in translation for people.
I mean, if anything, I'm just going to think of the crocodile movie Rogue from 2007 starring Sam Worthington.
Oh yeah.
That one makes sense because that's just called Rogue.
Yeah.
All right, let's get to box office stuff. So Tanner, you can go ahead and check out. I'll talk to you about 10 minutes or so.
Okay, let me just grab my pillow.
This movie makes $71.1 million opening day, which today is $97.8 million. The movie it opened alongside was Collateral Beauty. Remember that train wreck?
Collateral. Did that have Kate Winslet in it?
It did.
It was like a big like star-studded cast movie.
Yep, Will Smith.
Yes.
Edward Norton.
Yeah, I didn't watch it. I just remember the poster.
Oh, it's pretty terrible. It was a very like obvious like Oscar movie, especially since it came out in December, and it just wasn't written very well at all, and it was very sappy. So yeah, hopefully you saw Rogue One instead of that.
And I did.
And but if you were to pull a Barbenheimer in December 2016 with that movie, your title will be Rogue Beauty, I decided. Tanner, what is the plot of Rogue Beauty?
Rogue Beauty, let's see. There's a girl who needs money. She becomes she tests makeup brands, and then she realizes the cruelty not only to animals but to people and the unfair market nature of the cosmetics industry. So she pulls a Scarlett Johansson in Lucy without the terrible ending of that movie and takes on corporate America and the cosmetics industry.
Tanner, you pitched that in about 20 seconds, but that sounds pretty. I would watch that movie.
Boom, Rogue Beauty. And also, she's a beauty. So
she's naturally beautiful, yes. But that's the irony.
She's naturally beautiful and she doesn't need these goddamn cosmetics companies.
Oh my God, Tanner, greenlight this movie.
Sold. Studios, call me.
Who are you casting? Who's the rogue beauty in this movie, Tanner?
Oh, well, we can't pick ScarJo because I just used her. Who would have been a rogue beauty in 2016?
Oh, you don't have to date it. You could do that. I don't care.
Oh, I don't know. Like an obvious choice. I'm feeling like a J-Law.
Okay, J-Law, Rogue Beauty starring J-Law. And because it's her, I'm assuming it's going to be directed by, who's the guy who did American Hustle and Silver Linings Playbook? Whatever his name is.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, David O. Russell. That's right. He's
okay, yeah.
Look for that. Never. Okay, anyway, opening weekend, this movie makes $155.1 million, which today would breach the $200 million mark. In the top 10 was also Moana, Office Christmas Party, Collateral Beauty, of course, Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them, Manchester by the Sea, La La Land, Arrival, Doctor Strange, and Nocturnal Animals. Quite a December.
Ooh, that's actually kind of a good year for movies.
Yeah, aside from, I don't really like Office Christmas Party and obviously Collateral Beauty, but the rest of those movies, yeah.
I do like Jennifer Aniston only has like a couple scenes in that movie, but she does have some great ones.
Yeah. And Rogue One, of course, was also open number one, of course, in case you're wondering. Star Wars, it blew out of the water. And it was number one for 3 weekends at the box office. Week number 4, it falls to number 2 behind the 3rd week of Hidden Figures, the NASA movie about the ladies in NASA.
Also, to all you youngins listening, there's a very famous TikTok sound that comes from Hidden Figures. I'll let you figure out what it is.
I don't know what it is.
It involves a coffee pot.
Coffee pot? Oh, okay. Tanner's a little bit more hip than I am in terms of TikTok stuff.
It's a great scene with Taraji P. Henson.
Is that where she breaks down in front of everybody? And she's like, I gotta walk all this way just to go to the bathroom.
Yeah. I'm living out of a pot none of you want to drink out of. That's or drinking coffee from a pot none of you want to touch. See, like, I'm going to talk about it and then I can't even remember what it is. Anyway, it's on my TikTok algorithm like 45 times a day.
Yeah. I can't believe she was nominated for that movie. I did say that it was the third week of that movie, but it was technically the wide release. So that movie had been expanded that week to beat Rogue One. So that's just a little caveat. Although that week Rogue One did lose the #1 spot, it still beat the opening of Underworld Blood Wars. So there's that.
Not hard to do. You know what? Rogue Beauty would have beat Underworld too.
Oh, but you know who could play the Rogue Beauty is Kate Beckinsale.
She could, yeah. She's almost too pretty, though.
Yeah. Sorry, Kate, you're too pretty.
Sorry, Kate, your natural beauty has actually limited your acting roles. You're too hot for this one.
The domestic total of this movie was $534.9 million, which today is $735.9. It's the #1 movie of 2016. Not counting calendar gross, but just movies released in 2016 is #1. #2 movie was Finding Dory at $486.3 million, so just about $50 million behind. And in fact, you have to get to the #4 movie just to get to another non-Disney movie that year, because #3 is also Captain America Civil War. So it's not until you get to #4, The Secret Life of Pets, that you get to a non-Disney movie.
Oh.
Yeah, they had a really big year that year in 2016.
Goddamn Disney.
Goddamn Disney buying all of our studios. The worldwide total of this movie is $1.06 billion, which today would be $1.5 billion, so halfway to another $1 billion there. Although this is actually the #2 movie worldwide. It's #1 domestically, but #2 worldwide. We kind of talked about how like Star Wars doesn't have the necessarily quite the same wide appeal as, you know, other franchises historically, so that's probably why. So Tanner, between the #2 and 3 movies domestically, Finding Dory and Captain America Civil War, which one do you think was a #1 movie worldwide that year?
I don't know. Like out of any movie released? Or
No,
out
I
of those
just
two.
out of those two, it's either Finding Dory or Captain America Civil War. Which one do you think it was?
Oh, probably Finding Dory.
No, it's Captain America Civil War, #1 movie worldwide, 2016.
Oh, see, you think usually the kids' movies have like a higher global market, I feel like.
Finding Dory #3 worldwide, and also $1 billion grosser. So,
I mean, I would pick Civil War over Finding Dory too, but
again, it just shows how Marvel at the time, I mean, maybe not so much now, but Marvel at the time had a bigger worldwide appeal than Star Wars.
was really riding high.
Although I guess technically that's just, you know, Avengers 2.5, so that also has that going for it. But I mean, you know, that was the difference maker. Worldwide, you'd also have to go a little bit down the list to get to a non-Disney movie, because they had the top five movies worldwide. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 worldwide. Yeah, you get #4 Zootopia and #5 Jungle Book.
Oh.
Yeah, so you have to go down to #6 just to get to The Secret Life of Pets. So Disney racking up those top spots that year.
Look at them. And 2 of those movies, ScarJo movies. Boom.
Captain America. Oh, she's the snake in Jungle Book. That's right.
Yes. Seemingly a gender swap that nobody cared about. Because in the animated, he's a male.
What? It's a snake. Who fucking cares?
Well, I know.
I like that movie. That's a good one. That's one of the better, like that and Cinderella up there with of the remakes. Rogue One has a net budget after taxes and all that jazz of $232.4 million. So against the, what was it, 1.06, definitely made a profit. In fact, I did find I think it was Deadline Hollywood did a report that said that Rogue One had a net profit of $319.6 million after you take out, you know, marketing and stuff like that. So that's pretty good. You know, most movies to make a profit in the theatrical window is like enough, you know.
Yeah. Thanks for crunching those numbers, Catherine Zeta-Jones.
Where did Catherine Zeta-Jones come from?
You said all that jazz. So.
Oh, I do say that a lot.
All that jazz.
Having done a lot of the editing for these shows, and like when you can see the transcripts, I do see all that jazz a lot. Now I'm like been forced to confront that I say that a lot.
If you keep making it a thing and I edit episodes, I'm just gonna add in
that jazz,
a soundbite of them going, and all that jazz.
That jazz. It's been too long since I watched Chicago. Anyway, so let's get into the critical reaction to this movie. Again, this one, much like Force Awakens, was pretty well received. Maybe not as well received, but definitely like mostly positive. They like some things I picked up on a lot of reviews I read. They like the retroactive storytelling, the dark tone, the visual aesthetic being kind of like retro, you know, and like less prequels, more original kind of seeming. The performances also get a lot of good reviews. The action and the score are also highly regarded. The only thing I have here in terms of what people didn't like were and we talked about this already, but the digital recreation of the actors. They thought it was like a little bit Uncanny Valley.
Is what?
Uncanny Valley.
What is that?
You know the Uncanny Valley?
No.
It's the term for when like something seems almost real, but not quite. And then it kind of messes with your head, you know?
And it's called Uncanny Valley.
Yeah, it's mostly for when like people are not quite real, you know?
Oh, to me that sounds like an ice cream company, like a hipster like Uncanny Valley Creamery.
It's uncanny.
It's sugar-free, uncanny. You wouldn't tell.
You know, one person who loved the digital recreation was Carrie Fisher.
Did she see it before she passed away?
She did this. So actually, she actually passes away 11 days after this movie's released. I'm sure they showed it to her before it was even released too. So, but she said she really liked it.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
You know what, then all the critics, myself included, can stuff it, because if it has her seal of approval, that's all we need.
Yeah. Although I'm going to jump ahead a little bit because in the legacy section, since we're talking about it, this movie does get sued for the other digital effect on Grand Moff Tarkin.
By his, like, family?
No, by film producer Kevin Francis, who sued in September of 2024, so not that long ago, sued Lucasfilm for, quote, unjust enrichment. So they actually, Lucasfilm actually got the approval of his estate to recreate him for this movie. However, Francis, having been a friend of his from, a long time ago, claims that Cushing had said that he did not want his likeness to be recreated without his personal consent. So I did find that there's that ongoing thing. I think it's ongoing anyway.
Did they win that lawsuit? Because I feel like I don't buy that.
I don't think the lawsuit has wrapped yet. All I found was that it was, when that was filed was about 18 months ago from now. So it could very well, be still going. Things like this, though, they either settle or the thing gets like thrown out of court. Usually when you sue big studios, nothing comes of it. So if Disney deems it a viable threat, then they'll just pay him off, I'm sure. But despite those unfortunate developments, you know who did love the movie, Rogue One?
Who's that?
Papa George himself.
Really?
Mm-hmm. He loved it.
Which is good because he did not love Force Awakens, if I remember right.
He had some misgivings about Force Awakens.
I mean, this seems more up his alley anyway, because like we already said, it's pretty like New Hope-esque.
Like what we already said, like it's kind of like a one-off thing. And, George Lucas, as we've also said, is more interested in exploring new pockets of Star Wars, I mean, obviously the aesthetics are the same as New Hope, but he liked that it was a new kind of iteration of what we're used to.
Yeah.
And I also have a great quote from Gareth Edwards, the director, after he heard about George's response. He said, "I can die happy now."
Oh, great. Well, I mean, I guess that's really all you're shooting for as a director, right?
Yeah, he definitely got the more than Richard Marquand, the George's seal approval.
See, it's because Richard Marquand had a dumb name. And Gareth has a good name. I like that name. It's very like medieval.
Yes, but Gareth Edwards, I always get confused with like Gareth Evans, who's also a director.
Oh.
It's a thing. Anyway.
Okay. All right.
Okay, before we finish up with the reactions to this movie, let's get into the scores. This has got pretty good marks all around too. 84% Rotten Tomatoes, 87% audience score. On Metacritic, it's a 65 out of 100 with a 7.7 out of 10 user score. IMDb, this movie's really high with a 7.8 out of 10. Same on Letterboxd with the 3.8 out of 5. And an A cinema score as well. So this movie they've been kind to it in the years since too.
Nice.
And of course, it wouldn't be complete without the Oscars coming in to at least acknowledge that Star Wars exists. Not award, but acknowledge. Yes, you are movies. People saw you. Not for us, but for some. So it's nominated for Best Sound Mixing. It loses that one to Hacksaw Ridge. And it's nominated for Best Visual Effects, but it loses that one to another Disney movie, The Jungle Book.
Oh, I don't know if I agree with that.
Really? Do tell.
I don't know. I feel like when I was rewatching this, it holds up like pretty well. I mean, especially like I love the dogfight space bat. Like that stuff looks cool. It looks really crisp. There's not a lot of like creature elements in this. I mean, there's not a lot of like aliens in this one, but the ones that are there look very practical.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely not the CGI slop fest of like the prequels or anything like that. But I don't know. And Jungle Book to me, it's fine. It looks good. But I feel like when Disney does like their live action animal stuff, it just doesn't ever look super believable to me.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I mean, it's fine. Look, it's fine. I think they're both well done. And Disney doesn't care because no matter what, they're both their movies. So they get to pocket the award and the money anyway.
I don't think the award goes to them. I think it goes to the, but the actual people making it. But yes, I mean, I don't think I've seen Jungle Book since it came out, but in my memory, it holds up better than like The Lion King, which is the same director, but it in terms of like especially like the emotions on the animals' faces don't seem quite as dead. But I could be wrong.
Can I do a Tanner's takeaway?
Tanner's takeaway. Go ahead.
Tanner's takeaway. Here we go. So one time at Goodwill, I found a Jungle Book VHS, like from the Disney Masterpiece series. So it would be the animated one, and it was all in German. So the case said Der Jungle Boken. I'm gonna assume that's German. I'm not sure.
Der Jungle Boken.
But I literally was like, well, I have to buy this. I have to buy Der Jungle Boken. And I put it in, and it's of course just the animated Disney film, but dubbed over in, I believe, German. And it's the most aggressive sounding movie I've ever heard, because German's just like a harsh language anyway. It's all pretty aggressive, but you got Shere Khan screaming at village children in German. It's frightening. Anyway, I still have it in storage somewhere. Der Jungle Boken.
Oh my God, you'll have to show that to me sometime when I'm over.
Yeah, I will.
Okay, let's get into the legacy portion of the episode, the last portion of the episode, at least as far as the movie's concerned. This movie gets re-released in IMAX in 150 plus screens in August of 2022 to promote Andor. Tanner, we've mentioned Andor, the TV show on Disney Plus, but we didn't really go into depth about it, or at least, give lip service to it. You watched it, right?
No, and so this is where I'm a bad fan, because I think the last thing that I watched from like the Disney Plus era of Star, and I don't have Disney Plus anymore, so I miss a lot of stuff, but I think the last thing I watched was Obi-Wan.
Okay. Well,
and I've heard great things about Andor, so I should revisit it. I mean,
well, number one, you don't not have Disney Plus anymore because you have my login.
No, the mouse has put a kibosh to that.
Oh, really?
Yeah, there's no password sharing. I have to verify that I live with you.
But you watched Clone Wars on there, right?
Oh, yeah. Wow. How did I do that? Anyway, well, great. Now I've put it out there to the public that we're password sharing. We're going to get shut down.
Oh, no.
Especially because I've done nothing but badmouth Disney for every episode.
Tanner, at this point, they don't know we exist. Like, okay, like if we're going to hear from somebody, it's going to be Universal about that, like, Back to the Future clip we used in the beginning.
That's true.
But anyway, okay, so I mean, like, as someone, Andor has been pretty much considered like the best Star Wars TV show by a lot of people. One of the best Star Wars anythings by a lot of people. I pretty much mostly agree. I think both seasons are 12 episodes. So it's kind of long, at least for a streaming show,
Yeah, but that's back to what it should be.
I mean, it depends. I mean, the first season specifically, though, the first 3 episodes are, and the next 3 episodes, and the next 3 after that, I think, are all like mini arcs, And then I think the first 3 came out at the same time, but the next after that, it was weekly. So it was like, I kind of wanted them to just kind of move on from the arc, like maybe do it in 1 episode or 1.5 or 2. So I had a little bit of issue with that in the first season. The second season, though, is phenomenal. And the places it gets to makes everything that you go through before it, like, worth it completely. And one of the episodes in the second season where I guess you could say shit hits the fan is like some of the best television ever filmed. It's incredible. So I recommend it. I think you would like it.
All right, I'll jump back on board because, I have been wanting to watch the new Darth Maul show, so.
Darth Maul, yeah, animated, but so far, at least, you don't really need a lot of the backstory for Clone Wars to watch Maul, so.
Oh, cool. Good.
I mean, maybe read in case you haven't watched Clone Wars article to give you like a little bit of a briefer on what he has been doing since he got bisected, but anyway. And then let's just go into the careers of the people who, this movie affects, since none of them really come back for Star Wars. I mean, I guess for Tony Gilroy, Diego Luna, Genevieve O'Reilly, Forrest Whitaker all come back for Andor. But we also got a couple future Oscar nominees from Felicity Jones and Riz Ahmed, nominated for The Brutalist and The Sound of Metal, respectively. And then, of course, this is also the beginning of the Ben Mendelsohn just plays a villain in everything he does era, where he gets, Ready Player One, Robin Hood, The Marsh King's Daughter, everything.
Captain Marvel.
Well, he's the red herring villain in that one. And then this is also the beginning of Donnie Yen's ascension to American cinema. We mentioned John Wick Chapter 4. He also does the live action Mulan movie, which no one remembers, but he was in it.
Ugh.
And this is also the beginning of Mads Mikkelsen getting more franchises. He did Doctor Strange, I think the month before this came out. But then he also does Fantastic Beasts, Indiana Jones, the Lion King sequel, or prequel, I should say.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's fun to see where they go from there.
And hot take on that too, like Fantastic Beasts. I know that that's kind of a failed franchise anyway, which is too bad. But I almost preferred Mads as Grindelwald in that over Johnny Depp.
I agree.
It was like a more kind of believable villain. I mean, I love Johnny Depp, but I almost wish that Mads had had it from the get-go.
Yeah, I agree. I think Johnny Depp was kind of like visually arresting, like his bleached hair or whatever. It's just like, who would follow this like weirdo?
Yeah, his character design was kind of bizarre to me. I don't know. It just comes down to one of those things where it was almost like he's too big of a name, So it kind of throws it, which is weird because that franchise had other big names. But I don't know. I preferred Mads, so I'm sad to see that didn't follow through.
We didn't get it, but I also might have preferred Colin Farrell just to keep doing it. But
yeah, that would have been fine with me too, because I think he was fine in the first one.
Yeah. Okay, well, Tanner, that is going to do it for Rogue One, a Star Wars story. But before we go, what do we like to do?
Pop culture.
Pop culture shoutouts. All right, Tanner, what would you like to shout out this week?
Well, today the Practical Magic 2 trailer dropped.
Yes, I have not watched it yet, but I saw.
Ah, you should go look. I shared it on my Facebook.
Okay. Does it look good?
Yeah, I mean, I'm always like leery of these sequels anyway. And again, as someone who is very proud of the fact that it was filmed in my home state, I'm disappointed that it did not return to Couteville, Washington.
Well, what films in Washington anymore?
Well, nothing, because the taxes are insane.
Yeah.
You can't afford to film here.
Where did they film?
I don't know. I mean, it looks like the East Coast, but I'm sure it was on a studio or up in Vancouver or something.
Okay.
I'll have to give it a goog.
Doesn't it take place on the East Coast?
Yeah. Which, I mean, Coupeville, Washington does look like a kind of like a East Coast, like a Massachusetts-y fishing village. Like that's the vibe of the town. But it very much is not an East Coast village.
Yeah, I've driven through there many a time.
But yeah, it looks good. It looks fun. It doesn't look overly, like fake. I'm a little worried about what the story's going to be because it looks like they both have daughters. I don't know if Nicole Kidman's character has daughters, but I know that Sandra Bullock had kids in the first one. But Joey King is one of the daughters, and that's for me.
Joey King, I wouldn't say I dislike Joey King, but she hasn't been in a lot of very good things.
No. And then the other daughter is Maisie Williams.
Oh, Arya Stark?
I don't know why I didn't read that when this was getting announced, because I remember reading about Joey King, but yeah, she popped up in the trailer and I was like, oh, Arya Stark.
Oh. And she hasn't really done a movie since New Mutants, so
yeah,
surprising that she's coming back. I mean, I hope this does well. I like her as Arya.
Yeah, but I mean, give it a watch and let me know what you think. I'm excited for it. I mean, whether it lives up to the first one, it probably won't, but I'll still go watch it.
Yeah, we watched the original one together. You showed it to me.
Yes, I love that movie.
I did not, but that's fine. I see why it's like a cult classic, but I don't actually think it's good. It's like one of those movies for me. Speaking of sequels that are not good, I saw last week the Super Mario Galaxy movie.
Oh, I was going to go with my brother and my niece and my grandmother to that because we all went and took her to the first one when it came out. Which, if that's the goal, just to take a kid to it, sure. My compiled reviews is that it's a very visually satisfying movie, but it has zero story. Like, it's just a very thin plot.
Which is kind of what the first one was, too.
Yeah.
The first one, when it came out, my reaction to it was like, this might be the most average movie I've ever seen. Like, down the board, everything's okay. And it didn't engage me. And this one, even more so. I don't think I really even watched the movie. I think what happened was I sat down, the movie started, there were colors on screen for a long time, moving around, and then it was over, and I left.
Well, but Tim, that's what they do to kids now. Because I feel like everything is just like, how loud and busy can we be to keep you distracted and to ruin your attention spans?
That's Illumination's method, basically. Whereas, I mean, Pixar and DreamWorks are still doing good stuff.
Do you know how many kids can't watch classic Disney movies because they're too slow?
Yeah, but I mean, they're raised on TikTok, so I don't care what they think.
Kids just don't have the attention span to that's why kids can't read anymore.
You teach kids how to read good.
They can't even fit inside the building.
But anyway, like, so Super Mario Galaxy, I don't really much care for the animation style. I mean, it is colorful, but I think it kind of dumbs down a lot of it. I grew up with Mario, like pretty much everybody else in the world. You know, I was born in the 90s, so I played all the games. And I recognize all of the, you know, references and cameos and stuff like that. And it's supposed to be like fan service, but for me, it just means nothing. Because this movie to me means nothing to me. I'm sorry. I wish I could be one of those people who like actually like geeked out over a Mario movie being made, but the approach that they go for it kind of nullifies everything else. So yeah, I'm not looking forward to the inevitable Super Smash Bros. Movie because I just know it's just going to be noise.
Tim, since I wasn't with you last week, did I already talk to you about Ready or Not 2?
I don't know, but you go for it.
Well, I mean, since I've seen you last, you also have seen it, correct?
Yes.
I think I liked it more than you. Is that correct?
I thought it was okay.
Just okay, though?
Yeah, like down the middle.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, it didn't like blow me away, but I thought it was fun, and I thought it was, I guess, maybe like equally as satisfying as the first one. Can I say something that's not really a spoiler, but might be?
Okay.
Listeners, beware. If you haven't seen Ready or Not 2, whatever. I did not like Catherine Newton in this movie. I just think that her character was unnecessary.
I don't know about necessary, but I will say I think having a second like person hiding changes the dynamic enough to, you know, to validate a sequel, I guess, and it gives Samara Weaving someone to talk to when she's not hiding, you know.
But I feel like that's all it was. Like, she was just kind of like a weak plot device.
Yeah. And I will say that Catherine Newton is just playing the same character that she played in Abigail and Freaky, you know. I'm not saying like she's bad. I mean, I think she's got a good shtick going for her, like this frantic pixie girl, but it wasn't quite as effective for me, this whole thing.
No. I feel like I liked all the parts of the movies except for the scenes where they were like bickering. Because I couldn't stand her.
Yeah, and you kind of know where it's going to, like with their relationship.
Yeah.
So
anyway, that was my other pop culture shout out, I guess, that I missed from last week.
Okay. I mean, you could have just saved it and then, you know, done the next week, but that's fine.
But then we're too far gone, Tim.
I don't know. I mean, I actually saw Super Mario after the drama, which the drama was my one last week, but then I decided, no, I'm going to save Super Mario for next week. That's what I did.
Well, thanks so much for that.
Well, more so that I just didn't see anything else in the last week that was, you know, notable. So I went back for Super Mario, but whatever. Anyway, Thank you guys so much for listening. If you are still listening after all this shit, thank you guys so much. This has been great. Next week, we are going into some really fun and happy, like, territory with Star Wars Episode 8, The Last Jedi, a very uncontroversial movie.
Yeah, it's one that everybody loves, you guys. It brings people together. The fandom has never been more united on this front.
Yeah, and everyone still loves talking about it to this day. Like it never made people sick of talking about it, like within like a month of it coming out, days even. So yeah, look forward to that next week. But thank you guys so much for listening. You guys can reach out to me on my social media. I'm at Letterboxd at TGMacman. That's TGMacman.
You guys, I am on the gram, Tanwill10, if you want to reach out to me. Also, we still have our email up for questions, and we would love to get some. I want to answer burning questions, hot topics, hot goss. Let me spill the tea. Submit them.
Oh, I forgot to check it. Hang on.
Okay.
What if we got one?
Ooh, if we got one, then I will answer it now.
Nope, didn't get it.
Okay, thanks, guys.
But yeah, we'd love to hear back from you guys, so let us know. But until next time, we are on every Tuesday, everywhere you get your podcasts. In the meantime, rate and review so that people who do like asking questions can find us as well, you know. And until next time, may the force be with you.
See you next week.